Gilg Jew, Gilg J as Gilg Nerach.
Sé Claare na Gael de chlashtyn cartnish and shaw radio vanning, as babaili am shiwish altige. My name is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Did the ever hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
And Claare na Gael is a bilingual programme in the English language as unsa Gilg, and in the Manx Gaelic, Chinian Amera, the mother tongue of Ellen Vanning, the Isle of Man. As Banachtan Durish, in Christopher Shimmin's story The Smuggler, Juan Robin is the skipper of Peel fishing vessel the Mauthe Dhoo, but the Mauthe Dhoo is also involved in smuggling. Juan Robin's former Royal Navy shipmate, Captain Bill Bartlett, commands a revenue sloop, the Hawk, which is now in Douglas, to try and catch him. To Mina Harker angol trúdolju na vaskrut ag de chulje feich mechanen Count Dracula, as wij shen ti nörlige memorandum de heilige gemach olje na minfointen as an achtish en janu breunes nut an Count chi janu. In 1939, the Old Cornwall Journal published words remembered by Stanley Pascoe from his grandfather, William Pascoe from St. Mawes. We're talking about somebody who was born about 1838 here. And that's William Pascoe, and it's a song about a red herring. Now, the song itself is very widely travelled, but in April of this year, the words as collected from William Pascoe were set to her own tune by Cornish singer and multi-instrumentalist Martha Woods, with whom we start. Tashu Geisjach Rish Radio Vanning, Stasiwn na Nasiwn, Bisgol Skelia Mach by Dúlish, Alan Vanning.
As I walked over the salt sea sand, herring, oh herring, I picked up a herring all in my right hand. Don't you think that that was a fine herring? And what do you think that I made of his head? Herring, oh herring, as fine a great oven as ever baked bread. Don't you think that that was a fine herring? And then what do you think that I made of his tail? Herring, oh herring, as fine a brave frigate as ever set sail. Don't you think that that was a fine herring? And what do you think that I made of his ribs? Herring, oh herring, 40 new cradles and 50 new cribs. Don't you think that that was a fine herring? And then what do you think that I made of his fins? Herring, oh herring, 40 brave needles and 50 brave pins. Don't you think that that was a fine herring? So of all of the fishes that swim in the sea, herring, oh herring, the herring is the fish for me. Don't you think that that was a fine, think that that was a fine, oh what a jolly fine herring.
Song of the Red Herring, as arranged and sung by Martha Woods. Martha is from Loswithiel, and she used to play and dance with the Cornish dance group Tan a Dawr, fire and water. The Mauthe Dhoo was moored astern of the Hawk. Soon the Hawk's crewman discovered that his watch was up and went down the ladder into the forecastle, and could be heard rousing his mate who was to relieve him. There was a hurried consultation on the fishing boat, and then four men ran along the jib boom and leaped on the deck of the sloop, and in a few seconds had secured the cabin companion and the forecastle scuttle, imprisoning the crew of the Hawk below. Then, wetting the blades of their knives at their lips, they sawed through the hempen lanyards of the cannon, which was lashed to ring bolts in the deck. The fishing boat then hauled alongside, and gun and carriage were lifted on board. Winding their vessel, they put out to sea, leaving behind the sloop's crew hammering at the scuttle. A fresh southwest wind was blowing, and the Mauthe Dhoo stood across the channel for an hour. As they opened the calf, they saw far to windward the brig lying hove to, waiting for them. A Shaw memorandum Mina Harker. Seach tan I am. De ren ons lonning a Count Dracula de gaas na back as a gaasjul ernostje, maar an ach smoo soutje as follet. De rawi currit lesh vain gaasjul jorish zgani. As gesolach de ren utsen livreie locht gus na Slovaki, ren cor lesh na kistjechen gesvara. No, vain bol shen, but courage lung lesh lunning. Masaw va fissegen count na fully oddach rege chirwe shaw. Treven kistje talu, rosh in a grania na lug and lie grania, henke vain kistje hege. Henke quail skinski, as hugge sere de machon nud de yinu benten de rege arge kistje sus awin enjach. Trevor Shaw gent, as for fissegge that I will you forad, renne dollar macht na lorgenegge, morwe smunion, ljorish dunberus a jantachegge. Tammy en yin a chastless chira, as tammy fagen, de wel een jou in skooie dan a Slovaki gol soes, either a fruth, nun sereth. Now we heard some instrumental music from Irish band ALTAN last time. This time we have a song sung by Mairead Nawini and Bealach Shaw to Rome. This road ahead of me. Mairead na Weenie and the band ALTAN, with a song written by another musician from the Gwyddor Gaeltach in Donegal, Moya Brennan. Tammy Liai sa chlawsgriwen, de ren mi ons me steed me nielu, klaasjen boeg en gemach, as ostje kada gierig rish me gleesen, as foy gisterny. Van Count sa gistjege hesh awin ons bed a foslit, immenich de likli, de jorish magen rauw na lorgen. Ha berg lied a hien on, bewegels schies leschen trouw. De jaro fuddy nog bia een sereth en fruth, ach fuddy de vodmage ronsig en a smoo. Ach Jane Gare shaw, tan fruth na sada de gollesh, ach tan sereth ons fundu, jit kujach risje vistritza, vis raisus begiet de verne borgo. Scronele de wel een loob jintek, go fagus de Castle Dracula, as vis regedden een ostja. Liorla Mina Harker, Claare. Tref am I jint les ljaimach, gauw Jonathan me onze reigen as René Pegamy, van a vier elie kraumel gael lau riches riche, as doort en fairlieb aan Helsing, tan benser Mina ein kiert elie na fair in Sidon. They stayed, and lying as close the wind as they dared, stood in again for the land. As they did so, they could see the hawk standing out to sea in pursuit. "We can beat them on the wind," said Juan Robin, "but we have no time to lose if we want to get the rum on board. This'll mean a chase round the island, or I'm very much mistaken. If our friends on shore can't help us, we must hang on till dark and then alter our course to shake off the sloop." Nearer they crept to the brig, which now had squared her yards, and was running before the wind to meet them. Then, clewing up her courses, she backed her main yards, and the small craft laid alongside, and about 20 small kegs of rum were transhipped. The crew of the Hawk were near enough to see the business transacted, but were powerless to prevent it. The brig was laid again on her course, and the Mauthe Dhoo with her cargo stood in for the land. Before the fishermen rose the cliffs. And now we're going to hear the sound of the Welsh bagpipes made and played by John TOSE. And here in this track he's joined on the crwth by STEF Balesi, and they are joined on percussion by Jez King. Now here in the island, the second tune that we hear, we have the tune known as Caernarfon, in Welsh Dance a Tylwyth Teg, which translates as the fairy dance. But the first one that we hear is called Jig Arglwydd Caernarfon, the jig of Lord Caernarfon. we heard John TOSE playing the bagpipes and STEF BALESI playing the crwth, the bowed instrument there, and percussion was by Jez King on those two traditional Welsh pieces, Jig Arglwydd Caernarfon, the Lord of Caernarfon's jig, and Dawns y Tylwyth Teg, the fairy dance. Stasiwn yn asiwn ta radio fanning sé Claare na Gael vis Chlashtyn Cartnish, mer yn pin Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Ever heard tell of owl Bobby Bob?
Ta Claare na Gael gur a Shimmin Claare yn radio fanning Elia, or a Chlashtyn the shacht and lugjigol scalia mach yn chyrchirt, inadega radio fanning, as raigi a craman agert. Ta Claare na Gael maas de chiedendor en de podcasten jes, vis vergeten nasty inadega radio vanning, na trud en reich de podcast jou. Apple Podcasts, Amazon Audible, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, na Alexa. With the assurance of men who were familiar with the rocks and tides from boyhood, they ran boldly for the calf sound. The flood was still running strongly, and giving an extra pull on sheets and halyards, they entered the narrow passage. Under their lee, the white breakers dashed on the Kitterland. A solitary sheep raised its head from the grass and looked in wonder at the intruders. A few yards away on their starboard side, the tide surged and eddied round the Thustler Rock. Oars were got ready in case of mishap. But, keeping their luff well, the tide swept them through the dangerous passage, and in a few minutes they were safe in the open water with Spanish Head frowning down upon them. Easing their sheets, they steered for Langness, and then, pulling out a big jib, they ran it to the masthead, and with an oar for a boom, they set it as a spinnaker on one side, and with the mainsail on the other they ran goose-wing before the wind. Tan y Sulianek, ve ons bol was shingen dol. Nish ta sin gaert y redrish, as a chir shaw fuddy the jinne chitlien. Ta na jain sa stade smúan leiltach ege, as mu vishin able to hit solei, nusje, bein over ein jint. Teang oil toyacht roin, ach te gin poer de heirige, no na vodde vergeil histje, aal de genutsen te gimmerge, goil auris. In sonde we aurisach, jinnach shen ko broddau, da chauis en jouwin, onji jinnach kerrichten. Ta vissege so, as ge jinne. Nish marenia, gus a chorl chagi ein. Son on shaw as nish, signed on planel na viste we jint e kages oljujin. Nim gedden bedel jouwer brie as gaerter, doort een charn godelming. As mish, kabil, de aert a brew, aal trud care, te chitgus a talu, doort my shimoris. Fie vai, doort an allu, mine nist you. Ach, geneiden de ferrer beat you gold de lummergen. Now, I introduced a song by Kurjan Kujak in Claare na Gael last time, and then managed to play the wrong track. So this is what I was in. I'm probably chancing my arm here. I was going to say this is what I intended to play last time. The carvel Rosh Mura Flaunesem na Chru. Perhaps it won't be.
Fresh born,
Cyrjan Cújach with a carvel, Rosh Marau Flaunas Ernechru, before the heavens were created, before there were bright angels in. And P.W. Cain attributes that carvel to the Reverend Thomas Christian. The Reverend Thomas Christian was the man who wrote the Manx paraphrase of part of Milton's Paradise Lost, which we heard here in Claare some, years ago, I suppose, now. But yes, we went through Milton's Paradise Lost, the Manx paraphrase of it. Sain de vein njaartoon, de chormaur njaart me vis femer, sledge as garout en Slovakach, as te gimmerke wappen en barbach. Ren ulje no deinje munge, son de maastok, wat gimmerke tash beg de wappenen. Doort meisje Morris. Tam je chor lesh kius de Winchesteren, ta dimme doil de lure ons channel, as fuddy de be maudi all de on. Ren na Count Dracula, me vis kundin jou, says na gaelje de chode heen, ren ik chor kius de chormen slaelje, as scone ren benaisje hage clashtyn na tickelad. Saindun ve Dracula de chulju erd. Doort een fairly seward, liam de berliam gol merish Quincy. Tashin veolach rish shelgrachelje, as being gistin, my armich, Ray rish creer beavis chit. Genaiden dutch ve de lummer genaard. Fuddy de be femer kager is de Slovaki, as jinnach sai through tagert, no na wel mi shielten de wel na fully shaw gimmer gegunnen, jinnach sai through tagert cor mau ulje na planenine. Meanwhile, the crew of the Hawk, shamed at the loss of their gun, and feeling their reputation as seamen at stake, were determined to overtake the smugglers. They reached the entrance to the Sound too late to take advantage of the tide, and as none of the crew had ever been through, they didn't dare risk the passage. There was nothing for it but to beat around the calf. This delayed them a considerable time, and when at last they turned their vessel to the northward, they saw the smugglers far away to leeward. The wind freshened, yet they crowded on sail and tore through the water after the fishing boat. The smugglers soon found that they kept ahead with ease, and decided to allow the sloop to close on them, knowing that they could easily sail away when they wished. "We'll show these Englishmen that we can teach them how to build and sail boats," said the skipper to his crew. So they pulled in their sheets and allowed the Hawk to overtake them. Our Breton singer we've heard before, Gwenin, she's from Rennes, and here she makes a new version of the Breton traditional dance form Andro. It's, well, for some reason it's bilingual, I suppose. It's English and Breton, because this track is called New Andro. Breton singer Gwenin, New Andro. Gwenin, mentioned before, is from a Breton-speaking family, even though they were living in Rennes, which is in the eastern part of the country and is generally French-speaking. In fact, Gwenin attended the Durand School, the Breton medium education school that was founded by one of her uncles. When crossing Douglas Bay, the Mauthe Dhoo suddenly put down her helm and stood smartly across the bows of the Hawk, which vessel, with her great square sail set for running, shot past to leeward. The fishing boat then stayed and stood out to sea. The captain of the sloop was puzzled. There was no help for it but to return and give chase. This he did, and soon both vessels were beating back to the southward again. Then again the smuggler put about, slackened his sheets, hauled up his spinnaker, and ran before the wind. The Hawk did the same, and being to leeward their positions were reversed, and it now appeared as if the smuggler were the pursuer. Keeping at a safe distance, the fishing boat ran past the sloop, and Ilium sarcastically held out a rope to the Englishmen, offering them a tow. Captain Bartlett now saw with mortification that the smugglers were playing with him. Past Mackle Head they raced, and then lay across Ramsey Bay for the Point of Ayr. Genaiden de Gowan by on. A cheer seo, gejinmid goil fe der a biskion as corpa count in Scara, as we shigger a sign na vel able degas on goil fall a rish. Yich Jonathan gouds Lore, as yich Jonathan orm. Dat mi fagen der ouwe baag millish gull Kraub, gulle kiaull magiets en eidjäger. De doegesag we gierie we merem. Ach, esch, werke she reis beide, maar was moeilijkly, shen je nog straie, soede vallen. Kren verre mi leester als schreeuwvogel. We tostach is tammelt, as houds we tostach loren verlieb aan Helsing. Machare Jonathan. Sjaag de Hans on deor. Hoicht a fair, tau eges dunnel, as fuddy uw kage, as fuddy de be fame de chulju brief a jere. As rish, shen gere said de straie, en rid shen, ten novrige chwiestrimsje oort, as urri de chesje. Na gin goil al son a wen sermina, be ish for me churms, me vis kidde me sen. that's the sound of Scottish band Brabach and a medley which they entitled Brog to the Future.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Stasiwn yn asiwn sian the jarw radio fannings yn siot as yw geis jachrys Claare na Gael, as mish vis the chebel, Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Have I heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
Ta mish shan, chanel me lurgach yn gebuw is wad kiet de rauw, as chanel me olach rish markiach, goud na rish klo chwisjes de femer, na rish kage lesh wappin en bij soil. Ach, fodum koelie na shirwei shelje. Fodum kage ons achtelje. As fodum gedden bes me vis shen fem oil, kaart gemayes denje se. Nish, lig dau grey, shen weg jintem shaw he. Gouds de Shuish, Macharen Godalming, as Machara Jonathan, Gol on se vede brie tavi, jou Susan Jouwin, as gouds de John, as Quincy Freilare a brew, uri, fuddy de berge courage a tollu, Nim goile benser Mina, kaart ons schrie, cheer en naijijn. Gouds ten Shan Voltaire Kjonnel se gistjege, flode stru rai, vai na body skepeel gus a talu, on nach lios de trogel fargel a gistje gaffinegge, al de jinnach nemerki Slovakach egge foal vigele de gerchten, nimmage gulle red ren Jonathan Gol. Here they met the wind ahead. Then the fishermen hailed the sloop and said that they'd enjoyed their company very much, but now they must part. They found enough powder on the boat to charge the gun, and fired off the cannon in derision as a parting shot. Laying the vessel close to the wind, they beat southward, tack for tack, leaving the sloop far astern. Nearing Bealach, they observed a column of smoke ascending from a fire on the Bruise. Steering for the smoke, they saw men and carts waiting on the shore, and a boat coming off to meet them. They ran in as low as they dared, and the rum was quickly transferred to the carts. With the last boatload, the cannon was sent ashore in charge of Juan Robin and Iliam, and then the Mauthe Dhoo stood away for the fishing grounds and shot her nets late that evening. The Hawk followed the smugglers to the shore, and a party of armed sailors were landed. Now, this is a song from the early 20th century, about 1903 it was first published, with lyrics by Cornishman Herbert Thomas. It was a very popular song in its day, but is less so these days, mainly because it refers to Cornwall as a county. And, of course, Cornwall is a country, as we all know. But this is the song, Pasties and Cream, as I say, lyrics by Herbert Thomas, and it's performed here by Brenda Wotton and John the Fish, and whatever audience they were with at the time. So this is Herbert Thomas's song, Pasties and Cream.
I sing of a county of pasties and cream, of pilchard and herring that sparkle and gleam.
In the dear old county of Cornwall, the land of pasties and cream.
The land of the miners and fishermen bold, the land of the smugglers in stories of old, where men go courting and maids are not cold.
In the dear old county of Cornwall, 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 the dear old county of Cornwall. Pasties and cream, tin in the stream, pilchards and herrings that sparkle and gleam. Though we may roam, Cornwall's our home, the dear old county of Cornwall.
Oh, know you the county of pasties and cream, with hay in the meadow and tin in the stream?
In the dear old county of Cornwall, the land of pasties and cream. The boats trail their nets through the star-spangled sea. The miners go down where the nuggies may be. And black eyes are laughing pon you and pon me. In the dear old county of Cornwall, 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 the dear old county of Cornwall. Pasties and cream, tin in the stream, pilchards and herrings that sparkle and gleam. Though we may roam, Cornwall's our home, the dear old county of Cornwall. If we watch the grey shores sink down in the sea, no traitors to home or our sweethearts are we. For the dear old county of Cornwall, the land of pasties and cream. Wherever we travel, our homes will be dear. For loved ones we'll toil, and for Cornwall we'll cheer. And we'll send home a smile, though we keep back a tear. For the dear old county of Cornwall, 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 the dear old county of Cornwall. Pasties and cream, tin in the stream, pilchards and herring that sparkle and gleam. Though we may roam, Cornwall's our home, the dear old county of Cornwall.
Brenda Wootton, John the Fish and audience with Herbert Thomas's song Pasties and Cream. Herbert Thomas in fact became a cousin Jackie, emigrated to the United States of America for a time, but he returned in 1889 and started a newspaper. He became a newspaper man, and it was in his own newspaper that he printed the lyrics of Pasties and Cream in 1903 first of all, and then it was printed again with in 1907 with a tune attached to it. And despite calling Cornwall a county in that song, Herbert Thomas in fact became a bard of Gorsedd Cernow, which of course recognises and promotes, in fact insists on Cernow as its own Celtic nation. In fact, speaking of the Gorsedd Cernow, the Bardd Mhir, the chief bard, the grand bard of the Gorsedd at the moment, has become Jennifer Lowe. She was started her time as Bardd Mhir just a couple of weeks ago. They found the coast sandy and desolate, and the fields bare, and with no place of concealment near. At the nearest farmhouse they stopped, and found only an old man digging in a field, leisurely planting cabbages. "Where's the rum?" they shouted. He shook his head, and answered in Manx, "Tae fón and gathen." Brandishing their cutlasses, they yelled, "Where's our cannon? Where's the rum?" But he only smiled and said, "Tae fón and gathen." At last, in despair, they left him, and commenced to search the neighbourhood. But they discovered no trace of smuggler, or rum, or cannon, and late that night they tramped to Peel, angry, tired, and baffled. The next day, Captain Bartlett, sore at the loss of his gun, approached Juan Robin and said, Give up the gun, Juan, or I'll be disgraced, and if you will, I shan't report the other matter." "Bill," said the smuggler, "we can't beat you close hauled or running free, and as for the gun, we've no further use for it." Nimaj gol by bistreets Herische Borgo, as nimaj Carsna redain gus Castle Dracula. On shore ni púrach yn abenser mina for hypnosis son shigeris cúnalien, as nimaj Carsna redain, ledden dorige as ginistun ons achter bielia, lug chid iri in grenia, tret as in fagest en vol burach shen. Ta moerain rejino, as boelelje de bij jint kajerik, de wel een ed de uit njauchen dolletje maag. An sure and Jonathan Brishestiach the corrie, fel ei fod grey olw van Helsing, de jinnach who cor lesh Mina as a chwys trimsiach ec, a solich morti lesh dochan the jowl shen, carts jach ons cabin the ribber best oil egger, ge gins on a tail, ge gins on yawn and urine. Henke de vei bunnes ginablet the lordrish minute, as eish high air. Wel fissed nutten ball shen, wel nagen the Jig Arglwydd shen, the hulkus jowlach, lesh eeren rei hollis bio, lesh commach and atjemach. Now sisters Etoin and Moira Nichorain from the Rach Carn Gaeltach in County Meath sing together as An Jig Arglwydd Elia, and here they're accompanied on bouzouki by Cachal O'Curran from the Guidor Gaeltach in Donegal.
Ed Maham and Chirgo Karen Tilhom going on plan to the family the mold. Or the man it as the thief in your home, she could kill work on Amster Road. Though the main August gone with you and my banner she rolled the shallow go. Bakas Rumsaker, the Rini, and the Vatan Rover, Broma Rose. Fanny's hele black and white in his post for Hela and he ran the floor. Tivra my ain't a rowing at in it and like a chiro and arm in the road. Tivra she roams a go Romalina, my waist my favors, confused my rogue. Gerban of a chonic shish, sack and weather, and out of the go, calling oak. Nearly not to show, with the running off and on in row, and a band of home. Bands na rasta here and in the manra, how we blow no good in walkish bone. Tisha will, Tisha more now, pan and all into kush we don't. Oh, let's your cannon good in all of high so hurry one ish to push your road. Feel mad and when you war because on harbor, Mali Holla is a listener ski. The man win a hole is setting on chin, with Huvanya like I was bleeding. Hurry to Hoyle and me a doma, so not the coma we haven't seen. Sinish most ruin like that out of our man, Shamu lovely, it's be a metzia.
Etoin and Moira Nichorain and Jig Arglwydd Elia with Cachal O'Curran, whom they met through the RTE series Blan Hoige. Cachal was here for Shanachas Dew last year with Isla Collister. Lesh dag flog de jon vis caderoge hier na wen je uit vis strailtach, fellow agennach den mailen on soede follow de scornach. On sure, yin day a dow. As chouds heg shilia a hoolian mabesh, chowie soos na raiach en egge lesh aim, oh my ye, crave a gintine de vel lid an atchem shoren. As renne sinkel shies an eishach, ons tujem de chrias. If you care to go to Bealach, Juan Robin told Bill Bartlett, you'll find your gun under the cabbages in the field nearest the shore. The rum's been removed, but both rum and gun were under the cabbages at your feet, as the old Manxman told you when you were bullying him. Te phone in Garden. It's under your feet. Well, Mauthe Dhoo, shen Jeddah and Skeel, shen Llorish Christopher Shimmin as Jeddah a Claare Shaw, Nyesegetre Ton. In just a few minutes, Bimage Bio Egachilis will be live at the Sound as Chris Pearson presents 2 hours of the best chill-out music for your Sunday evening from 7 to 9. At 9 o'clock, it'll be back to Douglas Head for Sundown with Judith Leigh. We're closing with music by Welsh musician Cerys Habana, who's a multi-instrumentalist raised in Machynlleth, although originally I think from the Manchester area, and she's playing her triple harp here on her arrangement of some Welsh traditional music. Ach, Siananish, as my saw, until the next time then, this is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert de Carslach.
Old Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night. Eve, I'm a chri eriw, as orsilier, as my yiri and shared you will you.